Hi, I'm Charles Clinton.
And I'm Andre Miller.
And this is Opinions Are Light, the show where we give our top fives on subjects and then we debate about them.
Yes. And today we're going to do our all-time top 5 hip-hop albums, if you will. We have a, we're not the same people. So our opinions are going to be different and going to be interesting, to say the least. What do you think about these hip-hop acts of today?
Well, I think that there are a few who really kind of cater to my taste. There aren't too many in the mainstream. I think probably the two that really come to mind are Lupe Fiasco and Childish Gambino, who I really like, and to a much lesser extent Kendrick Lamar. I like artists who are clever, who can come up with really good puns and rhyme schemes, and also have stories to tell. I don't like stuff that is just about sex and violence all the time. I like stuff that tells a story.
Okay, all right. Well, for me, I do like Kendrick Lamar. I think he brings a certain type of newness to rap in terms of his style. I don't like to hear the same styles, and that's what I'm hearing nowadays. There are people that I like Freddie Gibbs, and he's from Gary. He has a certain type of flow and style that I'm digging. But I'm looking for being conscious about what's going on out here.
Okay.
I mean, you can talk about the sex and the drugs, but you can't overinflate it in your songs.
Yeah.
I think they do a lot of that, and just be different. You don't have to sound like the same guy that may be selling more records than you're selling. Just be your own person. So, with that being said, I'm going to let you start off your honorable mention list first.
Well, I'm going to go with here my honorable mentions. The first one that I've got on here is ATLiens by Outkast. Now, I was on the fence about putting this in my top 5, to be completely honest with you. But I decided I only wanted to put one Outkast album in here. I love this album because it is so weird. It has this very sci-fi vibe in the instrumentals, especially with all the theremin usage, especially in the title track.
Okay.
And also, Elevators is a great song. They just decided that was the album where Outkast really made the statement that they were just going to be different and they didn't care what anybody thought about how they sounded.
I totally agree.
And I feel like I got to give them props for that. Now, my number 2 honorable mention is the Marshall Mathers LP because of its effect on our pop culture.
Okay.
I mean, the word, nowadays the name Stan is a synonym for a stalker as a result.
That's the best name for it, too.
And
or maybe, how about Charles? That's a good one.
Oh, come on. But yes, you've got the real Slim Shady, which is another big part of our lexicon today. And it was an album that talked about kind of celebrity life and culture and also the whole suddenness of it.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was a very well made, very good statement by Eminem.
Yeah, I mean, Eminem, he should be somewhere in my top 5 and honorable mention. He's not, but I will give Eminem tons of credit. I mean, he influenced a lot of people as a way that his style and just him as a person. His personality. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, he is a very interesting guy.
A lot of talent.
Yeah.
Lots of talent.
Well, my number 3 honorable mention is Mos Def and Talib Kweli are Black Star. Now, this album, here's the thing: you have 2 just great MCs in those 2 guys, and to me, when they came together for that album, it was like hip hop heaven. There was nothing quite like it. They had some great conscious songs. They had just the ability to bounce off of each other that is just almost unheard of outside of groups like Outkast. They just had great musical chemistry, and it was a real shame that they waited for way too long to make another album.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I totally agree with that, too. I love Black Star as well. I thought their chemistry was phenomenal, and I think they are important in hip-hop. I really do feel that way. Now, let me give you my honorable mention. My number 1 was when he was called Snoop Doggy Dogg. Doggy Style. And I didn't put this in my top 5 because I have a more familiar, well, not more familiar, but something that's about the same as Snoop Doggy Dogg as far as what was in the album. So I gave this my number one, Doggy Style. When I first heard Doggy Style, I didn't even like Doggy Style. It took me the second or third time listening to it to really be all involved in it. It talked about what was going on at that particular time in my life anyway. Some of the things that he was doing, and
all right.
That's all I'll say.
Okay,
But,
okay.
It had an impact on a lot of
what
people. It had an impact on a lot of people. My second one, AT-Aliens, Outkast. I think this was the transformation. This particular album, we saw the transformation of Dre to Dre 3000. Okay, we recognized that Dre was spiritually, he had found his calling, I think, and we saw that and we heard that in the Outkast album. Some of his verses were not like the verses that were in the very first album.
Also, it was the beginning of kind of the playing Big Boi and Dre off of each other, with Dre doing the more kind of spiritualistic and poetic stuff, and
exactly. But I think also that, don't get me wrong, I think Big Boi stepped up too because he knew he had to, because Dre was just trying to go for his so much. So I thought it impacted, and because it transformed them into outcasts as we know it today, and what they were all about. Okay, so that's my number two. My number three is a way out of here. Really, it's on. It's. I had to put it in here though because I thought it was so impacting. Houdini, Escape.
Freaks come out at
Freaks come out at night. Friends.
Okay, I do remember that one.
Now the reason I put this in here because I felt like it was the first commercial success as far as rap. Most of their songs were played on the radio.
They were pretty poppy. Yeah, I will give them
they were. They were
catchy tunes.
And they had, Jalil, who wrote most of the songs, the dark-skinned guy.
Okay.
If y'all don't know. I thought he was a pretty good writer for his time. I thought he was a pretty good lyricist too. It was kind of popcorn songs, but you still remembered them. Everybody knows Freaks Come Out at Night. My mama knows Freaks Come Out at Night.
Yeah.
So I thought it was should have definitely be on my honorable mention list. Not good enough for my top 5 though. So I'm gonna let you do your top 5.
All right. Now my top 5 is gonna start off with a legendary album that sold millions of records and also really brought rap and hip hop to kind of mainstream consciousness in a way that it really hadn't been before, and that's License to Ill by the Beastie Boys. And yes, you have Fight for Your Right, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, Paul Revere, Brass Monkey, just amazing stuff. And the thing was that they balanced it out where they had like this kind of punk rock attitude that started from when they were just starting out as a rock band to with their influence of being managed by Russell Simmons with the hip-hop stuff, and just the balance of that kind of snarkiness and that whole adolescence and the humor, but at the same time being really good lyrically and being almost poetic too, being fun.
Yeah, you had to take them serious.
Yeah, you had to like them because of that, and it was just there was nothing like that out at the time.
Right.
There was nothing that had really come out, and that really established kind of the blend between rock and hip hop.
I agree. Brass Monkey is still one of my favorite songs, and that album is one of my favorite albums. You said it all about how impactful it was to hip hop period, and they didn't make that type of music as their career became start moving on.
They became more like mainstream hip hop and more electronic.
I don't think you could put their music in a certain genre either.
No, not easily. No, I don't think so. But moving on, my number 4 album, and this is probably going to get some flack from you, is Lupe Fiasco, Food and Liquor. Now, my
Top
thing about
5, really?
Now here's the thing. Like I understand that there's an age gap between us. I get that, but like you also have to take into account the time period that this was. This is like the peak of Lil Jon and Crunk and all that stuff.
Those type of rappers, those type of MCs.
And like this was like the first album that had beats that were fun and you could dance to, but had like real good stories with them. I think the best example of this is the track called "The Cool," where he talks about a dead body coming up out of the grave. It's produced by Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park,
I know.
And it was such a vivid description, and it just I've never heard anything told so vividly on a rap album before. And like the other thing was that he really brought emotionally, he brought his A game. I think that for me, Lupe, his debut album, Food and Liquor, belongs in the top 10. You know, you can say what you want about him afterwards, but for me, that debut album has to be in the top 10.
I don't agree.
At least.
Respect it.
And, but I mean, I think
top 5 though. Come on, even top 10. I mean, what I graded on is, did it have an impact on our culture, on the hip hop culture? And I don't see that particular CD as having an impact on
I see what
culture
you
I know.
I see what you mean, but this is also my top 5. I mean,
Yeah,
and and the thing with me is that I'm drawing from my own personal experience and drawing like kind of my own really what's the word? It's like my own sentiment. I'm drawing from my own sentiment.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
So with that in mind, this is going to be a really sentimental pick and a really one from very far out in left field. This is "The Listening" by Little Brother. And this is an album that most people have not heard of, but it helped launch the career of one of the premier producers in hip hop today in Ninth Wonder, as well as Fonte, who's currently with Foreign Exchange.
Okay.
Who's a rapper on that. Now they had a third member, Big Pooh, who also he really stepped up his game in this one. This was their first feature. This was their first big album, but at the same time, I thought that this worked because it had this whole blue collar mindset with the song Speed as well as the title track. And I remember first listening to the song Speed when I was about 16 or 17 years old. I was in high school, and the song was about, you know, life just going too fast and, you know, not being able to understand what's going on out there. Now, for me, that was something that just spoke to me in a way that nothing else did.
Okay.
And it also kind of connected me back to my dad, who is like a huge fan of punk rock, and I kind of took this to be kind of like my generation's punk rock and the hip hop generation.
Let me guess. You probably have 8 hip hop CDs, and all 8 of them are on your list.
No, come on.
Top 5, really? Okay.
The listing is awesome. You really need to give that one.
No, I like Little John.
Little brother.
Little brother.
Little brother.
You're Little John. I like Little Brother though, because I like their rap style, but they have not made anything that impacted.
Okay, so they may not have the mainstream success that
a lot of these other ones.
mainstream
success either. I mean, nothing. I mean, like I said, I like the way their style is, but as far as them being any different than anybody else, I don't see that. And I'm just talking in terms of just that particular CD.
I disagree with you on that one.
But go ahead.
All right, now number 2, and I know you're gonna love this one. Outkast's Aquemini. Now, there's a reason why I put this one and not ATLiens on here. It's because of just the sheer musical diversity that Outkast really committed to. Okay. Now, they did a bit crazier version of this on Speaker Box, The Love Below, but I don't consider that to be one coherent album. Those are 2 really solo albums.
I agree.
And for me, this is one where both of them are rapping on the majority of the tracks.
Okay, yep.
In some cases singing as well. Like you have the jazz stuff on Liberation, you have rock and roll on Chunky Fire, you have pure hip hop on Aquemini and Synthesizer with George Clinton, I might add.
Right.
That was like, and you also just had this crazy poetic stuff that Andre 3000 was bringing.
Yeah.
Especially on Synthesizer. And then you kind of got the hard man and the pimp in Big Boy. And then they switched it up for Spotty Yachty Dogalicious.
Yeah.
And Spotty Yachty is one of my favorite songs of any kind of all time.
Okay.
And even though it stretches out 7 minutes long,
Yeah.
it's something that I love listening to.
Yeah. I
to
think
this
they
day.
had reached their peak as far as their success and their talent. You know, because
That was the peak
it
of their
stood
chemistry, really, I think.
Yeah, I
Because when Stankonia came out and they had all those guest appearances and they needed Sleepy Brown to sing all the hooks, I think
They
that...
didn't need Sleepy Brown for anything. But he
They
was a great
should-
producer, though.
yeah.
Let's not get that
Yeah.
twisted. But, you know, Outkast, come on now. They don't need anybody. I think they were
Yeah.
just trying to change some things up a little bit. You know, give you something else to,
Like, Outkast in a lot of ways is like the Clash of hip-hop.
okay.
And that's why I love them so much. But number one, and this is one that I'm really shocked you don't have on your list, having seen it, is Illmatic by Nas. Now, like, here's the thing. This may not have the diversity that some of the other albums have, but it has enough of it. Like, it has enough of the mix of kind of the jazzy beats from Tribe Called Quest, Q-Tip. It has enough of the jazzy beats from Q-Tip, as well as some of the harder beats that sound more like Biggie.
Okay, yeah.
But at the same time, what really stands out for this is the lyrics. I mean, New York State of Mind, Halftime, and The World Is Yours. Those are all just massive classics.
Those are classics, yes.
And you cannot go wrong with that. Even though this did not have necessarily the radio play success that Nas's later albums would have, this had a huge impact. This said to the world, I am here. This is me. This is what the world is like if you live in Queensboro.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he painted it was like he was painting a picture with his mouth.
Right.
When you were listening to the albums. Because when you're listening to New York State of Mind on that first track, it is like Slick Rick with 10 times the vividness.
He's a great lyricist. And one of the things, too, is MC Search. I don't know if you know who MC Search is.
Yes, he used to host on JLB for a number of years when I was in high school.
He produced that particular album, Illmatic.
Okay, yeah. I remember Q-Tip did some of the beats, I believe.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
he had a lot of, producers actually making the sound and the music. But, yeah, MC Search really, they say MC Search found Nas pretty much.
Yeah, he gave him his shot.
He gave him his shot, yeah. So, I mean, that list is interesting. But nothing compares to this right here.
Oh, we shall see about that. I'm not so sure.
We're about to see right now. Okay, I'm going to start my list off with none other than Tupac Shakur. And you didn't have any Tupac on your list? Even as honorable mention? Are you kidding me? The best rapper ever?
I like Tupac. Don't get
he's
me
not
wrong.
on your list, though, huh? No, nowhere. Not even honorable
Like, I
mention.
had to go with what I felt in my gut. You know, that's what
not
this
his
is about.
gut. That's how he rapped through his gut. That's how he rapped. I mean, he's very...
Like, I love Tupac. I love his stuff. I would put him in the top 10. I don't know if I'd put him in the top 5.
Wow, you don't know what you're missing, man. But let me tell you, number 5, Tupac, All Eyes on Me, the double CD.
Okay.
And the reason I put this particular album in there was it was the first double CD of any hip-hop act. Everybody loved Tupac. When this dropped, actually, he was just getting out of prison. You were anticipating a great album, just like when LeBron James was in high school and you were waiting for him to graduate so he can go into the NBA. There was a lot of we knew that he was going to be good. Okay, we knew that this album was going to be good, and it was good. And the thing is, I think it was a rush job, but he had some great songs on there. It's one of the double CD albums that you could pretty much play throughout. Maybe the only one. There's a couple songs that I skipped, but for the most part, I played it. And thing about Tupac, I'm going to talk about him a little bit. He started out as more of a political rapper.
Yeah, Panther
songs.
Power, stuff like that.
Yes, because we know the history of his mother.
Yeah.
She was a Panther. I think his godfather is a Panther too. I mean, he has Panthers, family and friends as Black Panthers basically.
Yeah.
So he was, he was influenced by this, and he started out doing political raps. But he was also rapping about how he was living too. It wasn't so much glorifying gangsterism or selling drugs, but that's that's what he was doing at that point in time, and he put it in such a way that didn't glamorize it or glorify anything. You know, he was so poetic with what he was saying, and he could communicate to the audience. So that was my number 5.
I agree with you on that he did do a great job of doing it in a poetic way. At the same time, I think that what kind of suffers is like he had like only 3 producers. He had Dre, he had a couple other West Coast guys, and it's just dominated by that West Coast sound that I thought, I mean, like, it's something that for me I can take or leave. It's hit and miss. The whole West Coast sound of that era.
Have you heard his very first album, Tupacalypse Now?
Okay, no, I
That's just not, you know, it's not really all West Coast influenced. He does have some East Coast producers on there. You need to go back to your Tupac library and
okay,
listen
see,
to
I know
some of
like
his
I know
things.
like the Panther Power and like some of the Digital Underground stuff that he did. But
Well,
Digital Underground was also West Coast sound.
Yes, but that's who founded him, though. But I think he was more than just a West Coast rapper. But let's move on.
Yeah.
And it's funny that we mentioned Coast because I'm going with the East Coast group, Public Enemy.
Okay.
It takes a nation of millions to hold us back. Now, Public Enemy is very, very political,
Yes.
very socially conscious. They were really the only, and to this day, the only acts that, you know, gave you something to think about and what was going on in the black community and the negativity. And you know, they talked about how the media was and the government, you know, how they were doing the black community as well as all people. So, you know, they stand out to me because of that. And they were a group. You had, first of all, you had Chuck D, who was by far is a great lyricist. And
He was the main MC, and I give him props for that.
Yes.
He was good.
You had Flavor Flav, the hype man, if you will. You know, but you love Flavor Flav for that. You know, that's what he was, and you accepted that.
Okay.
You know, and then Terminator X, great DJ, Professor Griff. You know, he was very political, as we all know.
Yes.
And they made some great songs. Don't believe the hype. People say that today.
Yeah, it is a
song.
part of our cultural lexicon, but
Yes.
here's my thing. Okay, aside from Don't Believe the Hype and Cole Lampin, what else
Cole
is
Lampin?
Okay,
That's one
what
of their
else
worst
is
songs.
what else is memorable? And Cole Lampin is not that memorable for a great reason because it's
You
Flavor
need to
Flav.
check out, and on this particular CD, Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos. That's my favorite Public Enemy song. He's talking about himself, Chuck D, being a political prisoner. So he's in prison for something that he hasn't really committed a crime. He's a political
See, I
prisoner.
have listened to this.
This is a song, though. This is not a movie or a documentary.
Okay.
And he tells a story. But I mean, these are one of the powerful songs that, you know, Public Enemy made. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll move on, but we're gonna listen to that together.
All right.
It sounds like you don't know your history.
All
young
right,
man.
maybe. we shall
Younger
see.
man. I'm
Yo,
young man. He's a younger
we shall
man.
see.
All right. Now my third one is BDP, Boogie Down Productions. If you didn't know, and
All
all
right.
for you youngsters too, KRS-One, Scott La Rock,
South
Criminal Minded.
South
That's right.
Bronx.
That's on that. Yeah, South Bronx. Now this came out March 3rd, 1987. Okay, so in my opinion, it was the first gangster rap album. Okay?
All right.
It came out about a half a year before NWA. Okay, so
Oh wow! So this is like before Dope Man and
yes,
that stuff.
yes.
Okay.
But you know, it had just as much controversy in it. You know, it was a highly influential album. And by the way, the cover, it was the first album cover of the members brandishing firearms in the hip hop community. Actually, I mean in hip hop music.
All right.
First cover to do that, and that was pretty cool. But I mean, it just had a lot of good songs on there. You know, Super Hole, The Bridge Is Over, Criminal Minded, South Bronx. KRS-One is the poet. You know, he still doesn't get a lot of credit to this day. Scott La Rock was a great DJ, who, by the way, got killed. If some people don't know that during their, you know, their heyday. So we're gonna go to my second one, my second pick, NWA, Straight Outta Compton.
Now this I understand.
Okay, you know the impact that made.
Yes.
F the Police,
Yeah.
Dope Man. And by the way, Ice Cube wrote most of the songs, him and MC Ren. Okay?
Yeah.
So
I know that
Eazy-E just had the voice.
Yeah. Eazy-E
and the
just-
money. You
yeah.
know, he was an executive producer. Him and
Dre. Dre did like most of the beats. He didn't do
and don't
rap.
forget Jerry
of-
Heller,
Okay.
the,
But yeah.
the Jewish producer.
Yes.
But it's a great album. I mean, you know, during this time, you didn't have a lot of political and gangster albums of that time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people could relate because this is what was going on in the community.
It also really established that West Coast sound for the
It
first
did.
time.
Yes, and that established, I think, with Tupac too, it established
Well, this is
Death
before
Row.
that.
I know, but you know, Dr. Dre though. Dr. Dre was
Yeah.
Death Row.
Yeah.
So we got a glimpse of the West Coast and how they did their music. But my first one, speaking of the West Coast again, was Dr. Dre Chronic. I think
Okay.
this had a huge impact on the hip hop community.
It did, but what I have to say about that is that Dr. Dre's The Chronic is more like a mixtape because it's like a compilation of different artists that are rapping over his beats.
Either way it goes,
feels
it had
more like that.
Either way it goes, it had a huge impact though.
It did have a huge impact because it like made the West Coast sound. It was
Yes.
what made it.
It was West Coast all the way. Dr. Dre's sound, Dr. Dre's sound was very unique in its own right. And in The Chronic, I mean, this is one of the first albums in hip hop to talk about smoking drugs, smoking weed,
Yeah, smoking weed,
marijuana.
yeah.
And you know, after that, it was okay to smoke weed for some reason. I mean, he made it okay.
He made it cool.
He made it cool, you know.
Yeah.
He made a lot of money off of that. But it, you know, it's Death Row. Snoop Dogg is on there.
A lot. And
He's on
those,
the whole-
Warren G's.
Warren G, the whole
Yeah.
kit and caboodle, they're on there. So you get a glimpse of what's to come with Death Row. So that's it. My list is better. In my
I'm
opinion.
not so sure about that. I mean, I think we just have different tastes. I mean, you like your West Coast stuff. I like stuff that's either conscious or just
I love Conscious. I wanted to have a comment on here, actually. You know, but
which one?
you
Be
cannot-
like Water for Chocolate or?
take your pick.
'Cause
But you can't deny that all of these top fives on my list had impact on the culture. Had a
See,
huge
like,
impact on the culture.
I guess like what I was going for was just my own personal connection to those albums that I listened to.
And I respect that, you know.
And
that's your
like,
opinion.
I guess I didn't connect as well with, I suppose, Tupac and Dre than I did with, say, Little Brother or Lupe.
Okay.
And this,
All right.
this also timing is a thing.
Yes, you are
Yes.
exactly right. So, you want to end this thing?
All right. Thanks for tuning in to Fourth Key TV's Opinions Are Like. I'm Charles Clinton.
And I'm Andre Miller.
We'll be back next time when we talk about our top 5 MLB pitchers.
Don't forget to go to fourthkey.com with any type of your top 5 list or anything that you'd like to say to us. But you know we'll be back.
All right. And email us at fourthkey@yahoo.com.